My name is Matthew Coast. Welcome to Commitment Connection. Today we're going to be talking about the secret to connecting deeply with a man's heart so that he falls in love. And today I have one of my favorite people in the world with us, and that is Helena Hart. She is an amazing, wonderful coach, and we've been working together for a long time. And it's really, honestly, it's really awesome. I don't get to interact with Helena as much as I'd like to. And so I'm really excited about doing this live stream today with Helena. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Helena.
Oh my gosh, you always have me in tears every time we start a live stream because I love your words of appreciation. You're very welcome. I'm so excited. This is very last minute. I just finished a live stream on my channel and I gave Matt a call and he said, I'm about to go live on Commitment Connection. So I decided to join. So thank you guys so much. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking a little bit about connecting with a man's heart. And specifically, what I'd like to start off with is talking a little bit about what prevents most women from connecting with a man's heart, and what are some of the kind of the obstacles, like what do they do that are mistakes? Like what do you think about that, Helena?
Oh, that's a great question. Right off the top of my head, I would say a lot of women try to connect with a man in the wrong way. They think maybe creating a physical connection or a really great mental connection is like the way into his heart. And while obviously having a good physical connection and a mental connection, even a spiritual connection, those are all great things, but they're not the right road to love, so to speak. In other words, the way to connect to a man's heart is always through your own heart first. It's just the only way. I say that all the time, is if you're up in your head trying to create some connection or do something physically or mentally because you think that's going to create, stir something into creation with a man, it's always the wrong way to go. It's always about going deep within yourself and connecting to your own heart, your own feminine energy, and your own emotions, and then expressing yourself coming from that place. That's what connects to a man's heart. And of course, Matt, I'd love to hear your perspective on that as a man too. But yeah, from my perspective, if you're trying to make a man fall in love by connecting with him physically or mentally, you might get a great friends with benefits, you might get a great buddy or maybe business partner or something, but that's not what makes a man fall deeply in love and see you as that one woman he never wants to let go, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I have a saying that I use for this, which is get in your head and the date is dead. Right.
Oh, I
So
like that.
if you get into your head, and a lot of women do this, and even guys do this, right? And what ends up happening is it becomes kind of this mechanical thing, right? Because what a lot of women do is they'll get all up in their head, or they have, like, they come to the date with this checklist of things that they're looking to do and looking to find out about this guy. And so they come in and it's like, it's like you're sitting down and a doctor's like diagnosing you or something, like, when was the last time you went on a date? How many women have you slept with? And, what is your job and how much money do you make? And it's just like, for the guy, I mean, it's, depend, like, that specific conversation, by the way, is a horrible, horrible conversation to have. And almost any guy that you have a conversation like that with will probably never want to see you again. And so, really what you want to do, in my opinion, because when if you're in your head, even if it's not necessarily what I was just talking about, but if you're in your head, it's like when you're talking to a guy and a guy's talking to you, even if he is like looking to have fun and he's trying to connect with you, they'll feel like there's something missing. Right. It might feel like, like, oh yeah, we have a lot of things in common and I get along with this person a lot, and it's fun talking to this person, but it's not that passionate, like, wow, like this woman is amazing. And, I just love talking to her and I just can't wait to see her again. And, I got to make sure I play my cards right and make sure that, everything goes well. So I don't, run her off, and I got to put in effort, and, I got to make sure that I prove myself to her and she knows that, I'm good enough for her. Right. Which is what the kind of the mindset that you'd prefer to have than the mindset of you trying to prove yourself to him. And so if you're just in your head, that's what ends up happening. right?
Totally.
You
Yeah.
get to the space where he doesn't feel it with you. He doesn't
Mhm.
feel that connection. And that's ultimately what you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's when men say, and we can do this too. Well, they're really attractive, sort of on paper, it makes sense, but I'm just not feeling it, right? It's that deeper connection wasn't created. So yeah, I'd love to get into some specifics on how to get out of your head and into your body. It can be a difficult thing for everyone, myself included, especially if you really like someone, you have strong feelings for them, or you're really attracted to them. It can There's this tendency to want to go right up into your head. What should I say next? What's he thinking? What's he thinking? Does he like me? Is he having a good time? All of these things kind of disconnect us from our true selves, from our hearts, and therefore block our ability to connect with him. So yeah, I'd love to go more in depth on how to do that.
Yeah. What's one of the first ways that you do that if you wanted to?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't see the questions and comments coming in, by the way. If anyone has questions about their situation, we'd love to answer too.
Yeah. So by the way, before you go into that, Helena, yeah, if you have a question about your situation, put it in the chat. If you just want to say hi and let us know where you are, it's cool to see all these women all over the world watching these live streams. So just say hi in the chat, and if you have a question, let us know what it is, and when we get done, we'll go through all the questions and find out what's going on with everyone.
Yeah, we love connecting with you guys. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so glad I decided to jump on with you last minute. This is like so much fun. I miss doing this. So yeah, just if you want to give like a quick tool to get out of your head and into your body, a lot of women have a hard time with this. I can certainly struggle with this myself sometimes. It's all about connecting to your body. So you can't really be up in your head analyzing a man or thinking or overthinking a situation and in your body at the same time. So if you're having trouble connecting to a feeling, go for a body sensation, right? Just catch yourself. Everyone right now can do this. Are you leaning forward? Do you feel some kind of tension in your body? Are you up in your head thinking or worried about something that might happen in the future, or like beating yourself up over something that happened recently in the past? These are things we hear about all the time from women, right? Just imagine taking all of those thoughts and like dropping them down into your body and just seeing if you can feel some kind of like tension there. You might feel some tension in your shoulders or your back, or you might feel a knot in your stomach, and just kind of place all your awareness there and actually lean back. You can do this next time you're with a man. Actually physically lean back and just kind of put your awareness in your body. And it sounds so simple, but you can't be up in your head and doing this at the same time. So this will kind of connect you to your heart. It's kind of like a gateway into your deeper feelings. So once you do that, once you're kind of out of your head and into your body, feelings might start to bubble up. You might feel a sense of excitement or nervousness, which is not a bad thing at all. You might feel grief or sadness, or something might start to come up. You might just feel moved. You might not be able to like put a label on it. You might just feel some kind of vague emotion, or maybe you feel numb, and just kind of put your awareness there. And if you're doing this along with me, you notice when you're doing this, you stopped thinking about what's this guy thinking? Does he like me? How is this all going? Where's this relationship headed? Right? And I know it sounds really simple, but it's kind of like the most attractive thing in the world to a man. If you are not so focused on him for a second, you're just kind of in your body, intuiting what's going on around you, really experiencing the moment, feeling the air on your skin, listening to him, looking in his eyes, much more attractive than being up in your head, being super chatty, trying to like keep the conversation going and ask him a million questions. Right, Matt? I mean, what's your experience with this been?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, it's all about that connection and feeling yourself and feeling what's going on with you. And sometimes some women that I've talked to have kind of worried about like, well, what if I'm in kind of a bad mood, or there's something else that's going on there? And there's a couple different things that I have to say about that. One is practice. Right. There's a practice of connecting to yourself and connecting to your emotions and connecting to the emotions that you want to have. I hear a lot of women sometimes talk to me and they're like, well, what if I'm in this kind of a mood, then I'm just in that kind of a mood, and that's just who I am, and all that kind of nonsense. Right. And a lot of people don't actually know that you can control the emotions that you're experiencing on a moment-to-moment basis. Like, for instance, let's say that you want to experience something where let's say that you want to experience feeling confident. What you can do is just think about a time in your life where you experienced feeling confident and just get into that experience that you had. And remembering a time in your life when you experienced something in as much vivid detail as you can will actually trick your brain and turn your brain so that you start like actually physically, emotionally experiencing that right now in the moment. And so once you do that, you can start feeling really confident or start feeling love or start feeling passion or start feeling whatever it is that you want to feel, excitement, right? Curiosity, any of those positive emotions that allow you to connect more with somebody and kind of transfer. There's this thing that I call the law of belief transference, which is whoever's belief is the strongest transfers that belief onto somebody else. Well, there's also a truth around that in regards to your emotions. If you come to a situation and you're emotionally up, and maybe you've had this happen with you before, where somebody came over and maybe you were down and they were just like having fun and joking, you know, and if they're stronger, if their like emotions are stronger, they're more rooted in their emotion, they'll actually pick you up and you'll start, you know, getting happy and having fun too. And you're like, oh, I'm so happy that, you know, you came over and talked to me because now all of a sudden I'm in this good mood, right? And so you can connect with your emotions and you can practice doing that. And the more you practice being in certain emotions, the more that you will naturally start to experience those. And then when you get into your body, it's not like this horrible, weird thing. It's like, yeah, I'm experiencing all this, you know, these amazing emotions that I have because I'm a woman and I'm filled with, you know, all these emotions in a way that a lot of guys aren't. And then when you bring that to a man, when you bring some emotions, specifically emotions like playfulness, right? Like there's this kind of playfulness emotion where, you know, there's certain acts that you can do that are playful, but there's also an experience of who you are that is playful. And when you bring that into a situation, you're just having fun and, you know, you're just joking and you're just playing around and stuff, that can be incredibly attractive to a guy because it signifies youthfulness and it signifies, you know, all of these kind of feminine things and that he ends up connecting to, which creates curiosity in him and starts making him have a fun time. And, you know, if nothing else, he's just enjoying, you know, you being there in your presence, which is really, really cool as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I like how you said all that. From my experience, it's like as women, we can be feeling all kinds of things all at the same time. We can be feeling emotional about something that happened yesterday, and we can be feeling really excited because we're with the guy that we really like. I just like 15 minutes ago just finished doing a live stream over on my channel on my recent experience with major depression and some physical pain, that issues I've been going through over the past year that's like triggered emotional pain. And the fact that doesn't make me any less magnetic or attractive to any desire that I have, because it's a part of who you are. In other words, if you're cut off from one feeling, you're cut off from them all. So even just like sticking a toe in and getting comfortable feeling something, whatever that is, even if it is grief or sadness or something, all the good feelings are right next to those. But if you're resisting some of the negative feelings and you're trying to just to push them down and rise above them, if you ever hear that term, like what you resist persists, the more you try and resist it and stuff it down and not feel your feelings, the more you're cut off from all of those other feelings that you describe, like playfulness and joy. They're all in there together. At least that's the way I like to think of it. So you want to go into some of those things and really just feel them and really love and accept and embrace all of the feelings that are coming up in you, even the ones that don't feel so good. Going into them is like the way to get through them and on to the next better feeling place, in my experience.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm guessing that some of the women that are watching this right now are probably like, yeah, but how am I going to connect with his heart? How does this have anything to do with connecting to his heart? And this has everything to do with connecting to his heart, because if you're not in your emotions and you're not connecting to your emotions and you're holding on to, you know, just you know, all kinds of different emotions that you're not open to, and you're not allowing yourself to fully experience, what's going to end up happening is he's going to feel that when you're around him, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to feel that you're kind of closed off. He's going to feel that you're kind of attached and you're resisting kind of these things that are going on in you, and you're going to have these outbursts and stuff, because that's just what naturally happens. And when you're in it, you don't even know that you're in it, and you don't know that those are things that are you're expressing and are coming out of you, but everybody else around you can sense it, or they
Yeah.
can feel it, or they look at you and they're like, oh, there's something weird going on with her, right? And so
Yeah.
you definitely have to get through, and I don't want to call it like cleansing or anything, but it's, just getting through those emotions, any kinds of, resistance that you've built up to any types of emotions that are going on, pains that you have in your past, or whatever that you have, you need to go through those emotions, either go through them or change your story around them, right? That's another way
Mm-hmm.
to change things, is change your emotional state, is to completely change the story that you have around your emotions. Because if you change your story, like for instance, I have a story that many of the women on our channel have heard before, where I talk about how my mom and my dad basically abandoned me when I was younger, right? Like my mom one day just dropped me off at my dad's house, and my dad one day sent me to go live with my grandmother, and from those experiences I felt really abandoned, and for a long time in my life I felt like I had to prove myself to the world. And
Mm.
so I came from this place of lack, and people knew it, right? Because I was constantly trying to prove that I was worthy for people's friendships and for relationships I was in, and all these things. And I was always coming from a place of lack, and I was always trying to prove myself. And what ended up happening for me was I had a realization one day that my family actually loved me when I was a child, and that I was actually born into love. And when I switched my story from the story of I was this kid that was abandoned by my parents, to the story of I was born in love, and my parents loved me, and they did the best they could with me, and things happened and they didn't know what to do. All of a sudden it went from I'm trying to prove myself all the time to, I feel really strong and powerful in myself, and I have more than enough love to give to other people. I don't have to hold on to it. I don't have to suck it out of other people. I don't, I'm not needy and desperate and clingy and stuff for this love. And
Mm.
and I'm not gonna, push love away from me, because I'm enough as I am, and I can accept anybody's love and gifts and whatever else they have. And so I'm not sure what the point was to that one,
No,
but
I love that. Shifting your story. That is beautiful. I don't know if I've ever heard you talk about it in that way before. Shifting your story, shifting your perspective. Um, in terms of getting into your emotions, right? I think that's really great. I think that's great. Yeah, I love what you said too. Men, people in general, but especially men, I think are really sensitive. They can feel the disconnect. In other words, if you're feeling really upset or angry or something like that on the inside, but you're trying to like play it cool or paste a fake smile on your face, and you're just kind of quiet and trying to hold it together on the outside, men can feel that. They can feel the disconnect. They can feel the stuff in the air and the incongruence in your vibe. And it makes them feel either unsafe to come close to you often, or it makes them feel like they can't trust you because you don't feel safe with yourself or expressing yourself. So I think it's much better just to let it all out. Of course, you don't want to just like do this emotional vomit on a guy or blame him or make him wrong, but just saying like, wow, yeah, I felt a little emotional today, or I felt sad watching that part of the movie or something like that. That's what builds the intimacy and connects you with his heart. If you're truly feeling that way on the inside, then you can get through it onto the other side, rather than stuffing it down, resisting it, trying to be perfect, trying to put your best foot forward always. That disconnect is what kind of blocks his ability to get close to you, in my experience.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
There's also ways, just what's your philosophy on life? I know in my newest program, Connect with His Heart, I talk about coming from a fear paradigm, or kind of like loss prevention or pain prevention mode, versus a pleasure paradigm. And the pleasure paradigm is where it's at. And this is kind of just like a mindset that you can embody in life. Do you mind if I go in? Or did you want to talk about this a little bit?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. New concept from my newest program, Connect with His Heart. I believe you include a link to that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There's a link either above or below this video. You can go and check out our program if you want to. It's called Connect with His Heart. It's a great, great program. Lots of women that have gotten it so far have loved it and has helped them out a lot. So
Yeah, brand new concepts. One of them being, yeah, are you coming from this fear paradigm where you're constantly trying to safeguard yourself against all these bad things that might happen? So much of the time, we're almost like expecting bad things to happen. We think if we can like think about all the bad things that might happen, that somehow we're keeping ourselves safe. But it's kind of the opposite because we kind of end up making that come true. You always kind of get what you expect, like pretty much all the time, right? Deep down, I'm talking about your deeper beliefs about yourself and about the world, the kind of men that are out there. And or you know, like the kind of love you deserve. I always say what you accept in a relationship is a measure of what you think you deserve deep down. So really something to take a look at. If you're accepting crumbs, tolerating bad behavior, or anything that doesn't feel good to you, you might be hanging on to that relationship because there's like a fear that maybe there's nothing better out there for you, or that you can't do any better than this. Maybe this is all that you can get, right? So you just want to take a look at some of these things. It's often running on an unconscious level, we're not even aware of it, versus coming from a pleasure paradigm. Now, this would be connecting to your true self. Like we talked about at the beginning, connecting to your heart, your feminine energy, whatever you want to call it, the part of yourself that knows that things are always working out for you. And then if you have a desire for a close, connected relationship, that of course you can have that. There's a way to it, and it's just an absolute guarantee to you once you connect to that part of yourself, connecting to your pleasure paradigm, and then interacting with a man coming from that place. That's another way to connect with his heart, because you're connected to like the whole of you is there. You're not like fragmented off and just trying to like show parts of yourself and hold other parts back. And you can get very like disconnected from yourself. And then there's no way you can connect to another person, especially if a man, if you're disconnected from yourself like that. I know it's a huge concept, but I hope I'm explaining it in a way that's clear. What do you think about all that, Matt?
well, if you're not explaining it in a way that it's clear, my suggestion is that if you're hearing this and you're like, I'm not sure about that, what do I think about it? Go and click the link in the description above or below this, or go to Helena's site and check out Connect with His Heart program. You can learn more about it right there. And if you're
Yeah.
interested in
Or
purchasing it, go ahead
ask
and
any
pick
ask
it
any
up.
questions live if you guys have questions too. I know it's a
Yeah.
huge concept. It's like basically a whole paradigm shift for the way you see the world. You can just start becoming aware of it. Am I coming from a fear paradigm? Am I immediately shutting myself down every time I get close to a man because I'm scared of? A lot of times we say we want a close connection, and then the second we get it, we shut ourselves down and freeze up. Well, that's probably some kind of unconscious system you have running, that it's not safe to open up. It's not safe to share your heart with someone. So we all want intimacy, and that we're kind of scared of it at the same time. On some level, we're afraid we're going to like merge too much with the other person. And at the same time, we kind of want that. And so that's what I talk about in that program. I did that program with my fellow coach and friend Leah Lake, who many of you know and love. So yeah, any questions you guys have, I would love to answer them.
All right, let's go over some questions here. Just see what people are saying. Catherine says, "Hi from Maine. Your advice in these videos has been very helpful for one who is just re-entering the dating scene after the end of a 30-year marriage. Just getting my feet wet." Well, hello, and thanks for being here. Kat says, "Hi, y'all." Hi, Kat. Tracy says, "Hi from Idaho." It's good to see. I'm actually going to be in Idaho tomorrow. It's like the dogs are barking.
Yeah, I was just in Idaho a couple weeks ago. I have family there also.
Yeah, that's funny. New Zealand, lots of people. Diana says, "Hi, Matt. Hi, Helena. How are you guys this evening?" We're doing great. Thanks for asking. Yeah. These dogs are really barking a lot. Can you hear the dogs?
A little bit.
A little bit? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we have here? Christina says, "I start to overthink when I'm focusing on my body." Have you heard about that before?
Oh gosh, yeah. Who hasn't experienced that? I don't know about you, but we women, I was just talking about this on the live stream I just did on my channel. Yeah, it can be, we don't always feel comfortable in our skin. We all have insecurities, right? So maybe that's something to go into. Maybe don't try it when you're with your man or on a date with a new guy, but try it with your in yourself, and maybe kind of just do a little meditation where you're actually going in and feeling a little more comfortable in your body. You have to be able to do it by yourself if you ever want to do it with a man, especially a man you have strong feelings for. So yeah, very it's those things that you're insecure about that a man is actually going to love you for. I know it sounds crazy, but it's actually true. It's those things that we perceive to be our flaws, our insecurities, that actually make us unique. It's like our essence, like our feminine essence, that our unique kind of flavor that sets you apart from every other woman. It's those things that a man is going to see and love about you, you know? So you want to start loving those things about yourself. It has to happen first.
Yeah. And another thing I just want to mention, like what Helena was saying, is that sometimes we have like techniques and stuff. You don't have to wait until you're on a date to try it out, right? Like, especially like with getting in your body and getting in your emotions, you don't want to wait until you're on a date and then you're like, oh my God, I'm doing this thing that I've never done before. You know, if you do it at home first and you experience it within yourself and you're experiencing it, then it's not like this weird thing when you're on a date and you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing right now. And this right, is this right? Right. Because you did it at home and you tried it a bunch of times at home and you experienced what you wanted to experience and you figured out whether it works and how it works and what you're doing with it when you're at home. And then when you're out on a date, it's like, it's easier to do because you've been practicing it and you've already done it. And so it's not like this brand new thing that you're trying to do here.
Who was that asked the question? Was it?
It was Christina.
Christina, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I start to overthink when focusing on my body. I love that it pops up. That's so cool. It's a new feature. I love that. Try going into that. Try going into your body. If you, like, let's say insecurity comes up. I know this sounds weird, but just try riffing on that. Say, I love my insecurity, and I also love the part of me that hates my insecurity. Right? So you're loving, embracing, and accepting all these different parts that are coming up when they might seem to be in conflict, fighting against each other, but when you start to like pour love over all of them and accept all of them, they start to kind of work together rather than against each other.
All right, so let's see. Div Chap says, I meet a great guy. We were casual for 2 months. He invested a lot. He said he wanted to go slow and just get to know me. We even went away together for a weekend. I want more than just casual. So one of the things I have to say about that, and one of the things I talk about specifically in the Forever Woman program, is making sure that you are taking care of yourself and making sure that you're getting into a good situation for you. A lot of times women, and I get it, right? A lot of times women come to me and they're like, you know, I've been doing, you know, I'm already in this situation and I've already screwed up and there's always these weird things going on already, right? Like, what do I do now? And I get that, right? I understand that. Like, most people come to me when they're in a problem situation. They're not coming to me because they're like, oh, everything's great. I think I'll go talk to Matt Coast and see if I can get some tips. I mean, we do have some women that do that, but for the most part, it isn't. But my suggestion is that you follow what I talk about in the Forever Woman program and make sure that you are, you know, not giving yourself completely. One of the things that we talk about, and one of the things I talk about in the program, is you don't want to jump in the pool before he's even decided whether he wants to go swimming or not, right? Because a lot of women, they jump in the pool, right? And they start swimming around and they're like, I'm committed. I'm in this. I'm doing this, right? And the guy's like up on, you know, he's up on the deck like, I didn't even want to go swimming, you know, like, what are you doing? I think I'm going to go to this other party over here and, you know what I mean, talk to these other people, right? And you're like, oh, what happened? You know, and you've done all this and you know, you're like in there with one of those, like, you know, like tube things and stuff, and you got your party hat on and you're like, wait a second, I thought we were in this, you know? And so you want to make sure that he's in it for what you want. And you want to make sure that he's interested in the type of relationship that you want, and that he's investing in the right ways, and that he's emotionally connected. And, you know, more than anything, you know, what I'm looking at here and I'm missing when I look at what you're saying is that you're not saying anything about what he wants. You're just saying, we've been casual. He invested a lot. You know, he said he wanted to go slow and just get to know me. You know, it's like, and then we went together for a weekend. It's like, you know, have you talked to him about what he's looking for in a relationship? Because it doesn't sound like you have. Maybe you have, but you know, that's definitely something that you want to consider before you jump into a relationship or jump into a situation. You know, I'm not sure if you've been getting physically intimate or not. You didn't really say. You said you've been casual. You know, that might mean that you've been physically intimate. I don't know, but my suggestion is that you don't get physically intimate with him, and if you have, that you pull that back out and you only reserve that for somebody that you get into an exclusive relationship with. If you're not getting into an exclusive relationship with him, my suggestion is that you don't get physically intimate. You don't give him everything, and you wait to make sure that he's interested in what you're interested in, that he's willing and agreeing to being in the type of relationship that you want to be in, and that he's emotionally connected and invested, which it sounds like he is invested at least. So did you have
Yeah,
anything you wanted to say about
well,
that?
I love what you said. I knew you were going to say all of that. I think that's perfect. It didn't say that he said he wants to take things slow and he's invested a lot. Did he specifically say he just wants to keep it casual? It doesn't sound like that's what he said. So there's a difference between taking it slow, getting to know each other, and he's
Oh,
investing. That
so
actually sounds pretty good.
here's a follow up from her. She
Okay.
says he texted yesterday after 10 days of no contact, asked for a drink. He's not putting in any effort, and I think he just wants sex. It really hurt because I liked him so much. I've stopped texting him.
Oh yeah. I mean, 10 days, no contact. It doesn't sound like he's, like we talked about at the beginning of this video when Matt's saying like, when the guy's like, I need to make sure I prove myself to her and get in her schedule and move things forward. Doesn't sound like he's there at all. So yeah, I would pull back on, it depends on where you're at with it, but
Yeah,
yeah, it doesn't sound
my
like this is moving
suggestion is
forward.
that you follow my system, the Forever Woman program,
Yeah.
and you start using that because that is designed to get you into a relationship that you're cherished and you're loved. And if you want that program, go to the foreverwomanformula.com and
Mhm.
check that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. So Shelly says, can you guys keep elaborating regards to this for when you meet people? I do it by myself, by being myself. I had a friend told me he told a friend of his he felt closer to me because when we talk, we have those deep conversations. So he said he felt the connection was stronger than towards his other friend.
Okay. Do you understand that question, or do you want me to
Yeah, I
translate it?
mean, so it sounds like, I mean, what I'm missing here is what you're actually talking about, right? Like, so you're like, okay, I went and met. It sounds like you met a friend, right? And your other friend said that he felt closer to you because you have deep conversations. So he said he felt the connection was stronger than towards his other. I mean, I don't know. Are you talking about friendships? Are you talking about a relationship? It's not very clear to me
Yeah. Is
exactly
this a
what it is you're talking about.
And what it is you want? Are you interested in? Is this a guy friend you're interested in? Give us a little more information. But it sounds
Yeah.
like you're doing it. If you were able to connect to yourself and then have a conversation, express yourself, you see it working right there. He said he felt closer to you. So it sounds like you're doing great. Maybe you want more from him than what he's offering. That's like maybe the missing piece there. It sounds like you're doing a really good job from what you said.
Yep. Okay, so next one is Angie says, hi, Helena and Matthew. I've been dating a guy. He's not exactly local to me, but he wants to chat every day, messages through the day, and a chat in the evening. He says he loves me at the end of every voice message. Any thoughts, please? Yeah,
Yes.
first off,
We both jump in at the same time. Go ahead.
first off, I want to say, I want to make sure that you need to make
You,
sure that you're protecting yourself, right?
yeah.
Like it sounds very fishy, right? There's a guy who's not exactly local. He's like love bombing you, you know, talking about how he loves you. He's talking to you all the time, right? Like first off, you need to make sure this guy's not a scammer. And so if at any point in time he asks you for money for anything at all, ever, you don't give him any money ever for anything, ever, in any way, no matter what it is. Don't ever give any money to any kind of interaction with him. Two is make sure that you video chat with this person to make sure that they're an actual real person. And
Yeah.
that's
Have
actually,
you met in person? Have they met in person?
it doesn't sound like it. It doesn't sound
Yeah.
like they've met in person.
Okay.
And so you definitely want to you don't want to get overly invested in something that's just over messenger, right? You don't ever want to do that, because, and third, you need to make sure that you're using my program, right? The Forever Woman formula. Because if you're not using that program, which it sounds like you're not, because you're using, usually women who are using the program have different problems, right? Like this problem where you're like, there's this guy, I've never met him. He's long distance, he's saying that he loves me and he talks to me all the time. It's like, you probably wouldn't even be dealing with that guy if you were using the program and you had abundance and you had you were what does Rory call it, circular dating, right? If you were circular dating and you were meeting a bunch of guys and they're kind of competing for your attention and all that kind of stuff, you probably wouldn't be with this, talking about this guy that is not, somewhere else, who's chatting with you, he's telling you he's loving you, right? And next step is really that he's going to start saying that he wants to get married to you, right? The whole thing sounds like a scam to me. So if I were you, I would be very cautious about this person. What do you think, Elena?
Yeah, it's different if you've met in person, but you're kind of long distance, but you see each other. If you've never met a guy and he's saying, I love you, that is a giant red flag to me. Huge red flag. So just be careful. Yeah, just don't get all caught up in it, because women can feel connected and all that stuff over Messenger and texting. Men don't really feel connected that way. Like, you know what I mean? It's like women can fall in love and feel all this stuff where the man isn't necessarily there, even though he says he is. And then you meet in person, it typically isn't what you've built it up to be in your mind. So yeah, just be careful.
Yeah, I've heard in a lot of stories like that too, where I've heard women who have gotten, or men, both, that have really connected with somebody over Messenger, and then they meet the person and the person's 100 pounds more than what they showed in the pictures, or they're 10 years older, or they're this and there's that, and they're and they don't really connect, and they're like totally invested, and it's like this weird awkward thing now.
Totally.
And one person went to the other person's city, and they got a hotel together, and now it's super awkward, and it's just one of those situations that you don't want to run into something like that. My suggestion,
we've heard it so many times. So many times. Yeah, just be careful. It's not real until you've met in person. Nothing means anything. It's not real. Don't give any weight to it unless you've actually met him in person.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Sure. All right. Next one. Irene says, program works amazingly. Ladies, trust me.
Love it. Yes.
Yeah. So Shelly says, how do you know that he's being receptive? How do you know that he's being receptive? So I have a general rule for you to think about. And I talk about this in the Forever Woman Gold Club membership. And what it is that you should always just assume that he's interested in you, right? Assume that he's connecting with you, right? Like you don't, in terms of him actually being emotionally connected, you're looking for a movement forward. But if you're just looking for is he receptive? Is he interested? Just if he's there, if he's doing things, if he's going on dates with you, if he's, around you, I call it proximity, right? If he's getting around you, if he's being near you, that means that he's got some level of receptivity, right? Whether he's actually connecting is another thing altogether, right? And what you want to look for in that is, is he moving forward? Is he trying to push things forward? Is he trying to push things towards the type of relationship that you want? Helena, I know, has lots of experience with this.
I was going to just say, Matt gives the best advice. Matt is hands down the first person I go to whenever I need relationship advice. So I talk to Matt every other day. And he is so spot on. Literally, he just gives the best advice ever. So if you haven't checked out his program, please go check it out. You'll see the testimonials. I mean, women are loving it. He gives incredible advice. So yes, follow everything Matt says. I certainly do. It's phenomenal.
Cool. All right, let's go on to the next one. So Bunny Bunday says, listening during my 200-mile commute to see boyfriend. Cool.
Awesome. Well, yes, she's in our community. She's go check out our community on Facebook, the Goddess Community. I know Bunny Bunday's in there. She's our hearts are connected. Yes, love it. She shared a recent success story over in our community on Facebook. I remember. So happy to hear that.
Julie says, I love you, Matthew. I've learned a lot from you. I read your lessons all the time. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else do we have? Cindy says, I shut down when men try to get physical with me and I don't know them very well yet. Really creeps me out and I don't want to see them again. Yeah, I mean that sounds pretty normal.
Yeah, I mean, it's what do you mean by get physical? They go to touch your arm, or are they trying to make out with you on the first date? You know, there's
Yeah.
different if you
Yeah, it's one of those things. There's like levels of severity with everything,
Mhm.
right? Like there's this woman one time. I think I was doing a video about like it was like hot and cold men or something like that, and she was like, "Yeah, my guy is hot and cold every day," and I'm like, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean he's hot and cold every day? And she's like, well, he stops talking to me at some point, and I'm like, oh, like that's actually a normal thing, right? And so when you say like I shut down when men try to get physical with me, it's like, what do you mean by that, right? Like, is it because it could be a normal thing, right? Like if he's trying to get physically intimate with you and you haven't really gotten to know him yet, like that's pretty normal, right? That's like
Mhm.
healthy that you get shut down, that a guy's trying to like, move physically forward with you and you guys don't even know each other yet. But there's also these extremes like what Helena was talking about where it's like, he touched you, maybe he's like a touchy feely guy and he touches you on the arm and you're like, oh my god, I'm shutting down.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm keeping it. Men are supposed to want to get close to you physically. They're supposed to want to push things. So it's not a bad thing at all. It's a compliment. I mean, he thinks you're sexy. That's a great thing. And you are in total control of this. And you can always take a step back. You can always, if you keep attracting men who only seem to really like charge forward physically very quickly, and it's like too much too soon, that might be something to take a look at. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay for men because you trust yourself, right? You're not going to put yourself in a situation where it's dangerous or something like that, where you can't get yourself out of it. Just trust yourself and just catch yourself. When do you start to freeze up? It might just be your intuition totally right on, or it might be like you freeze up anytime a guy goes to touch you or something,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So Sherry says, okay, about feeling emotions. What if you're feeling angry towards him? I get carried away by sending angry messages. How can I
Ooh.
channel it differently so I don't scare him off? It's a good question.
Yeah.
So did you want to answer this
Oh
first?
yeah, sending angry messages is probably not the right way to go. Maybe you can say, I'm feeling, it just depends on the situation. Maybe tell us a little more. I'm feeling a little triggered right now. It would feel good to talk about this at some point. What do you think? Or when would be a good time? And maybe talk it out in person rather than, I mean, so many people do the long paragraphs, angry text messages, right? I would try to not have those conversations over text. Wait till you're in person or at least on the phone. Because men can just get bombarded with and it just makes them want to shut down and not want to deal with it usually. Right, Matt?
Yeah, yeah, and it makes them not want to meet up with you ever again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
First thing I want to say is that you shouldn't be having big long conversations over text message. That's
Yes.
my suggestion. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're in a deep in a relationship, sometimes things are different, or if you're like long distance, sometimes things are a little bit different. But even still, in those situations, I still suggest that you try to keep texting and sending messages down to a minimum and
Mm-hmm.
you focus on the meetup, right? The magic is in the meetup. Remember, the magic is in the meetup. And so that's one thing, right? That's one thing. That's the kind of the tactical side of things. From the other side of things, from the emotional side of things, I would do if I were you is I would check into why you're feeling angry, why
I
you're
was just gonna
feeling
say
so
that.
angry all the time. And for me, like I've experienced a lot of anger in my life. And what I noticed was that I get angry when I feel like I'm not in control. And so if I don't feel like I'm in control, I end up getting like I get upset and I get angry and it can spiral into me being just angry and I'm just like and then usually something will trigger where I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Because I know with me, if I'm angry, it's because I feel like I'm out of control, and so I start focusing on things that I do control, and then all of a sudden everything shifts like immediately, because when I'm focusing on things that I control, I start progressing towards things that I want in my life, which makes me happy and excited, right? And so one is kind of your focus. Like, what are you focusing on? What is it that's making you angry, right? Is it something that's going on with him? Is it something that's going on with you? Is it something that's going on with both of you? Is it, what is it in your life that's making you so angry? And kind of check in with that and figure out what that is, because you can shift that, right? You can shift that anytime you want to. And if you've created what I call an anchor, right? Like, there's the emotional anchors, right? If you are in a relationship and you meet with your boyfriend or spouse or significant other, and you're angry all the time, eventually you're going to create an anchor around them where you're angry all the time. And so you see their face and you're angry, right? And so it takes breaking that and changing who you are, how you experience things around that person, so that you're not so angry all the time. Or maybe there's things that are going on in the situation. Maybe he's doing something that's not appropriate, or maybe you're doing something that's not appropriate, and it's kind of hard to know without you kind of elaborating on what's going on in your situation. What do you have to say about this?
I totally agree with it. Yeah. Why are you so? Are you tolerating bad behavior? Are you tolerating something that doesn't feel good to you? Is he like, disappearing, and you're like just over texting him, and you're, like, what's he doing? Are you holding on to this when he's really not treating you all that well, or something? Something's causing the anger, right? So yeah, I love what you said. Maybe getting in touch with that too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's see, what else do we have here? Abadel Feed says, I'm single since I was born. I don't know if you're... I don't know. Jen says, Matt, you're right. Alexander says, I'm late. Just a little bit. Linda says, hello, Matthew and Helena. Becky says, all right, let's see. Becky says, should love be tested?
Ooh,
example,
wow.
If the love is strong enough, it will survive. My ex came back to me, told me his love for me was never lost. He hasn't dated anyone the last year of being divorced, yet he is moving to another state and wants to keep seeing me, but not as a girlfriend. He feels it's a unique opportunity to see if the love lasts while he finds himself. What do you have to say about that, Helena?
Well, something sounds weird about that to me. What do you think?
Yeah,
I think
the whole thing sounds weird. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like he wants to keep you on the hook and try to find somebody better. But if he doesn't, he still has you on the hook just in case. And he wants to try to get his needs met, which he desperately isn't getting met anymore because he hasn't found anybody else. And so he pulls you back in, but not for the kind of relationship that you want to have, just for kind of something casual, because he doesn't want to. Now I'm going off on a rant about what's going on.
Then he gets everything. He gets you kind of waiting in the wings, and he gets to go find himself. Yeah, without knowing more details, I would suggest letting that connection go. If you need to go find yourself, go find yourself. If you still feel this way, come back when you're ready. If I'm still available, then we can talk. It's probably the way I would go about it.
Yeah, one of the things that I say is I talk about this concept which is called being sacred, right? Creating this sacred environment around yourself, right? Sacred, making it so that you believe that your body's sacred, so that your time's sacred, your energy's sacred, your connection is sacred, right? Your intimacy is sacred. And when you believe that it's sacred, you treat it differently, right? You don't just give it away to anybody. You're not just giving your body away to anybody. You're not giving your intimacy away to just anybody. He has to rise up to a certain standard in order for you to even acknowledge it and be willing to be in that situation with him. And so if he's coming to you saying, hey, I just want something that's casual, and we aren't going to call ourselves boyfriend, girlfriend, but we're still going to see each other, it's like, is that what you want? Because I don't think it is.
Yeah.
And so my suggestion is that you don't get in that situation. You
Mhm.
don't let him do that with you. And you say to him, you say, look, if you're interested in something real, let me know. And at that time, if I'm still single, then maybe we can talk. And, if not, then, maybe I'll be seeing somebody else. I have no idea, but I'm not going to, close myself off to other
Yeah.
people while you try to figure yourself out.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
can be either all in on this, or not, or we can just do nothing, right? It's you guys have too much history behind each other and with each other to be playing games like this, and
Mhm.
so
I
yeah.
agree. Yeah. And but what reason would he have to go all in? And this is assuming that you want a full-time, close connected relationship with him again. What reason would he have to make that decision if he has you when he wants you, but he doesn't really have to fully commit? So yeah, if you want all in, he knows you well enough if you were married to this man or he's your ex or something. He should know, right? To kind of have this half-hearted connection string just kind of connecting you. In my experience, my opinion, it never really leads to that full-on relationship. If he just gets the sense that you're going to be waiting around forever.
Yeah, and he, you might end up getting trapped in this, and
Mhm.
it's not good for you. My
Yeah.
suggestion is you just stay out of it. Just stay
Hmm.
out of it all together. All right, let's see what else do we have here. Doopy 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 doo. Maria says, huh, gonna look over it. Maria says, hi, Matthew and Helena. Helena's like got the ninja
I know.
thing going on
I
over
can't
there.
see
She says, been
it.
seeing a guy consistently for about 2 months. He is in chase mode, and I am keeping an open heart. Because of my limited availability being a single mom, he's the only one that I am dating, and he is in contact with me via text and phone a couple times a week, and we see each other 1 to 2 times a week. So I think he is only seeing me. So my question is, how can I bring up exclusivity in a feminine way? So he's in chase mode. You've been seeing him consistently. Okay.
That sounds good. It sounds like things are going great. 2 months, he's consistent. You're seeing him a couple times a week. He's in constant communication. Sounds like things are really good. What's the rush to bring up exclusivity? Are you sleeping with him? Have you guys been sexually intimate? Have you had the sexual exclusivity conversation? Or is it what is this need to bring this up? Is my question. What do you
Right.
think, Matt? Can a woman bring up exclusivity in a feminine way? Of course, there are ways to do that, but what would your suggestion be? I'm curious.
Well, my suggestion is that you don't bring it up
Hmm.
unless my suggestion one is that you don't get physically intimate with a guy unless you have exclusivity. That's
Hmm.
my suggestion, hands down. And if you are physically intimate with him already, then my suggestion is that you don't get physically intimate with him again until you guys get exclusivity. And if you're not physically intimate with each other, my suggestion is that you don't talk about it at all until he starts moving towards trying to get physically intimate with you, and that's when you bring it up if he hasn't already. And so that's what I suggest in that regards.
I like
In
that.
terms,
Yeah, I was gonna say it's so interesting these days how the whole sex thing kind of triggers the exclusivity conversation. So let's say he goes to move things. I'm just curious because I love getting your opinion. It's always so spot on. Let's say he goes to have sex with her next time. They haven't done it yet. What would you suggest that she say?
well, I would say I don't have the exact wording. I talk about this specifically in my How to Talk to a Guy program, which you can
Mhm.
get on my website at commitmentconnection.com. And what I say, here's what I suggest you say is I suggest you say something like, um, uh, I don't get when I'm physically intimate with somebody, I'm only physically intimate with one person. I don't like to sleep around, and I don't like to see other people. And I also would want that the person that I'm being physically intimate with to be exclusive with me as well. And that's kind of the first kind of pre-framing for the
Mhm.
conversation, and then you can just ask a question like, what do you think about that, or how do you
Yeah.
feel about that, or you know like, does that you know, or if you want to kind of throw it and kind of give him an air of being free, what you can do is say something like, if you think that you're interested, because if you say something like that, a lot of guys, if he's like really interested in you, he'll be like, before you even ask him a question, he'll be like, don't even worry about that. Of
Mhm.
course,
Yeah.
I'm totally interested in that.
Yeah.
And he might even bring up more that he's interested in at that point because you've initiated that conversation. But if he doesn't, right, you can always say something like, you can either ask him like how he feels about that, what he thinks about that, or you can ask him, or you can say, look, if at any point in time, you decide that you're interested in somebody else, just let me know so that I know that we're not just, it's not just the two of us anymore. Right.
Yeah.
And that kind of gives him this air of freedom where he can, go off and he doesn't feel like you're trying to trap him, but at the same time, he's being, you're making sure that he's being respectful of you and just asking him if he agrees to that. Right. And if he says yes, then he's agreed to it. And you can, assuming that you trust this guy, which hopefully you do trust this guy, because if you're, hooking up with some guy you don't trust who lies a lot and does that kind of stuff, you're putting yourself into a bad situation
Yeah.
anyway.
No, this sounds like a good, sounds like everything is right on track. I don't think you have anything to worry about. I love what Matt said, would feel incredible to sleep with you. I feel so good being close with you. And, I know you can even say like, I feel a little awkward. I know this is something we haven't talked about yet, but something about me that you might, something about me is that I feel comfortable doing that within the context of a committed relationship. What about you? What do you think? And he'll, just like Matt said, likely a guy like this is going to go, oh yeah, definitely. And just sign on for that right away.
Yeah.
If that's what he wants. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. We're kind of hitting the top of the hour here. So thank you everybody for being with us today. I really appreciate you coming and allowing Helena and I to be a part of your journey in attracting and getting into the relationship that you've always wanted, and trusting in us and our information, and helping and allowing us to help guide you towards what it is that you want. So many women in our community have had successes, especially recently. We've been, hearing about these women getting married and all these kinds of things. And it's really awesome to see women go from a place where they feel really stuck to getting into, feeling empowered and getting into a relationship where they're loved and they're cherished and they're with a guy who makes them the priority and puts them first and, takes care of them and, is communicating. And it's just so cool and so awesome to see. And so I'm just so grateful to be a part of this community. And we have some of the most amazing women in the world as a part of our community, some of the most beautiful, smartest, most amazing just women in all kinds of different areas. And so make sure you're a part of our community if you're not already. There should be a link above or below this video if you want to go check out Helena's Connect with Your Heart, Connect with Your Heart program. Then like the video's like
yeah,
backwards.
I know. It's so it's like I'm always so like my microphone's getting and I'm trying like like trying to touch the wrong direction. Yeah, Connect with His Heart in the description. Also check out Matt's program, The Forever Woman. Oh my good. Are you still doing the free trial for that?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We get so much great feedback on that. So definitely check that out. Matt, I'm telling you, first person I go to for advice always. So he hears from me all the time. And yeah, his advice is incredible. So many great testimonials from his program too.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here with us. It's a total honor, and we will speak with you again soon. So
Yeah.
take care.
Bye everybody.